Hello and welcome to module number 1 of Instagram for Business 2.0. This is part of our 360 series, and this is a level 201 course. Now, for those of you who joined us for level 101 of Instagram for Business, we dove into all of the features available on Instagram as a platform. And we talked about how if you're doing nothing else on this platform, you're absolutely posting to your feed and, of course, posting to stories. That was that number one non-negotiable. If we have that Instagram for Business account, we have to be capitalizing and using Instagram stories because of that engagement. It's such a huge engagement piece. So in this course, we're going to take things beyond just the feed and stories and talk about a few of the other features available that we could start to be using once we've nailed how we're doing our feed and our stories. So let's dive into module number 1, which is all about leveling up our content. So if we remember, we had a mini Instagram content strategy in level 101, and it stopped at the first 3 here. It showed us our feed, our stories, and potentially, if we were there, even at that time, our IGTV. So let's start at the top here. Our feed. Now, of course, we're posting to our feed on Instagram. This is for our curated, scheduled content. This is our polished content, probably our most polished of it all, that needs to be shared. Those key messages and maybe some of those promotional items that we have to get out in front of our audience. And this type of content will benefit from a permanent home, a permanent resting place. Then, of course, we have our stories. This is for the in the moment content, maybe the behind the scenes content. It's less polished, of course. It's ephemeral, meaning it's going to disappear after 24 hours. It doesn't last for very long. And it's going to really show our personality, show the humans behind the brand. And like I said, that behind the scenes sort of nature to it. Then potentially we have IGTV as another video channel on this platform. This is perfect for our branded video content. So a little bit more polished than our stories, the in the moment, the real and the raw. This can add a lot of value to our audience. And IGTV videos can form a series, an ongoing series, and provide a lot of educational value to our audience and to our followers. So if we're ready to take it beyond just those 3 features, our feed, our stories, and our IGTV, I want you to consider introducing Reels into your Instagram strategy. Now, Reels being one of the newer features on Instagram, Reels is awesome for quick bite-sized video content. And again, it can be less polished than our feed and our IGTV. It can be more in the realm of our stories video content. It's going to add some lightheartedness and fun to your brand. This is just for those quick 15 to 30-second video clips. They can still be educational in nature, but they, again, don't have to be quite as polished. So they're a little bit easier to make, and you can have a lot of fun while making them. So let's dive into why we should be using some of these other features. A few different reasons. So we know that video reigns supreme, okay? Now, I didn't even talk about our live video, but that's a whole nother feature that we could be using on Instagram. We could be showing up live for our followers when they're online with that live video content. So we have stories, we have IGTV, we have Reels, and we have live. 4 features that are devoted to video content. Why? Well, put quite simply, because we know that video content reigns supreme. We know content is king, but video content, it really does rule it all because it's the most engaging. People would rather watch video content than read a block of text or read a blog post. The proof is in the stats, absolutely. Another reason, it's inexpensive to use these new features. You don't need fancy equipment. You really just need your phone, and you already have that. We know you do. So it's relatively inexpensive to invest in trying out these new features that Instagram introduces on a very regular basis. Be a trailblazer. Not very many people are doing it yet, especially when it comes to the newer features that are introduced. So if we know that not a lot of brands and businesses are using Reels, for example, then be the first and make waves. Instagram is going to see that, and that algorithm is going to work in your favor, and it's going to show your Reels more often than maybe some of your other content. And just like that, Instagram is going to reward you for using their new features, because the new features are like shiny new toys and Instagram wants you to play with them. So that algorithm is absolutely going to notice, and it's going to start to show your new content using the new features to more and more of your audience and even beyond. It's also pretty easy. Mobile video is meant to be rough and ready. It doesn't have to be Hollywood ready. It doesn't have to be perfectly planned out, curated, professionally produced. It doesn't have to be any of that. It can simply be shot on our phones, edited even on our phones, and then uploaded all from the palm of our hand. So it is relatively easy to achieve. So how can we use some of these other features to our advantage? Well, we do want to determine a theme and a purpose for each one. Why would we use one feature over another? So get clear on what you want each feature to achieve. If you know, like we said before in our Instagram content strategy, if you know that your feed is for your curated scheduled posts and it's for the stuff that has to get out there, so maybe you're going to make sure that all of your really important key messages and those promotional pieces of information each month are posted to your feed. And then for stories, this is where you can show the humans behind your brand, show the behind the scenes. That's the purpose for your stories. And then, like we said, for reels, for example, this is your chance to have a little bit of fun and add some lightheartedness. So maybe this is where you're going to have some humor infused into your content strategy. So think about what you want each feature to achieve. If IGTV is going to be devoted to having a video series on it and they're all educational in nature, then that is the purpose for that feature. So know this ahead of time. And then you want to create a content calendar. Decide how frequently you're going to post to each feature and stick to it. Remember that consistency is more important than frequency. So you don't have to be doing a reels every single day. If you can only commit to a reel once a week, even once a month, then that's fine. That's still better than what you were doing the previous month. So commit to what you can potentially commit to based on your bandwidth, your resources, and stick to that. We want to take advantage of titles and descriptions depending on the feature. So you want to make sure that your titles and your descriptions are specific, that they're explanatory, they're explaining what it is that that content is about, and they're also full of searchable keywords. This is especially important for your IGTVs, because when people go into the explore section on Instagram and they're searching for certain tags or accounts and they're using keywords to do it, you have the opportunity to show up based on your IGTV description, okay? Now, you also want to make sure that you have a compelling call to action, especially when it comes to, again, your IGTV, because you get the most amount of real estate in that description over some of the other features. But always keep that call to action in mind, even when it comes to an Instagram story, for example. What do you want people to do as a result of watching, let's say, your 3-part story? Make sure you have that call to action explicitly put on that final story, whether it's a visit your website, or maybe you're using one of the interactive engagement stickers like a poll or a quiz, and you want to make sure that you're getting people to do what it is that you want them to do. You can use geotags and hashtags on a lot of these different features. On Instagram, on IGTV, for example, you can actually use those geotags and hashtags right there in your description. Same with your Instagram stories. They have a hashtag sticker and a geotag sticker, a location sticker. So make sure that you're using these features available to you. They're there to help you. They're there to help you gain that brand awareness and grow. And you're going to reach more people as a result of using these types of features in your content. And then last but not least, don't forget to cross promote across other features. So just because you make an IGTV video doesn't mean that it only has to live on IGTV. You can choose right when you're publishing that video in IGTV, you can choose to post a preview of it to your feed. And why wouldn't you? You've gone to all of that trouble to create a little bit more of a polished video that's going to live on your IGTV channel. So absolutely post that 60-minute preview to your feed. Absolutely. Same with your reels. You can absolutely share reels on your feed as well as in a story. So when you're creating different types of video content for the different features, make sure that you're posting it across one or two of the other features as well. Okay, so now it's your turn to go pen to paper. So the first 4 exercises in your workbook our video content planners. So it's going to go through stories, reels, IGTV, and a live content generator so that you can plan out how often you're going to be posting on each and what each of those video segments looks like on each. So remember those tips. What is the purpose or the theme for each of these features, each of these channels, so to speak? And then you can get really clear on what that video content looks like. And again, remember that consistency is more important than frequency. So you don't have to be on each one of these features every single day. Whatever you can commit to is an absolutely great starting point. So this is what the Instagram story planner looks like. So again, thinking about a 3-part story, because we know that those 3-part stories often garner more engagement than any other type of story. And think about that. It can have a beginning, a middle, and an end, all of the great elements of a story. So if you have a morning story, a midday story, and an evening story to form your 3-part story for the day, this gives you a little bit of information as to how you're going to plan that out. Is it going to have scheduled imagery in it? This is where you're maybe more of the polished content can meet the real and raw, the live footage. Maybe it's a video of a member of your team explaining a process at your brick and mortar location. Is it a recurring feature? Is it going to be a part of a series that happens every Monday or every Tuesday? Or is it just a one-off piece of content? There's no right or wrong answer there. You get to choose that. Graphics and imagery, any other assets required so that you know what's involved ahead of time, and then a quick summary of what that story is going to look like. Exercise number 2 is all about planning out your reels. So similar to the sense of the stories, it works through here. And again, this is just an example if you were going to commit to a weekly reels. So what is your week 1 reel versus your week 2 reel, and so on and so forth. If you're only going to do one a month, that's absolutely okay. Ignore the other 3 and just focus on the first one. Your IGTV planner, a little bit more polished. So maybe you're going to do this a little less frequently than a reel or a story. That's absolutely okay. So what is your IGTV topic? Is it part of a series? And what is that series name? What's your filming date going to be? But then when are you planning on publishing it, and at what time? Keeping all of that in mind. Remembering our content pillars and the content categories. Is this an educational video? Is it going to be a how-to? And then what is the title of the video and that description and then the call to action? And remembering that this part is so important because what the content, the words that you choose to make up your video description are searchable within Instagram. And then just a few more prompts to make sure that you have everything planned ahead of time to make the production of this video a breeze. And then last but not least, this is your Instagram Live planner. So if you are ready to take the plunge and do some live content for your followers when they are online, then this will just give you an idea of how you can plan out at least a loose outline of what that live is going to get across. What 3 points do you want to get across in the live? Of course, you want it to be real and in the moment, really authentic, but you want to have an idea of what you hope to achieve from each and every live that you do. So that concludes module number 1. Next up is going to be talking all about trends and seeing them in action. I will see you in the second module.